Hi, I thought I'd make a video. I haven't made a video in a while, and I just was having a pull to share all the things that I've learned so far on my journey to health that have been working really well, and just thought it would be a good idea to share before maybe I forget some of the stuff that's fresh in my mind. I've made a list here and I'm going to follow it, but so I don't forget anything. Um, I guess the first thing I'd like to share with you is, in my case, I made a decision before I got really sick with pneumonia and I was bedbound for a month in bed where I couldn't get out of bed and I could hardly eat anything. And I had actually made a decision before that, just due to some health results I got from my doctor, that I really needed to take care of my health, and so I made a decision to take some time off from working. And right after that, I ended up getting really sick with pneumonia, and it actually turned out to be a blessing, um, because it really got me started on the right foot on my journey to health. And I'll explain to you why. Is that I wasn't hungry, and because I was so weak, and I know, I kind of know how health works, that if I was going to eat some processed food, I just wasn't going to be able to recover in the state that I was in. So when I was hungry a little bit or needed to nourish my body a bit, I knew I needed to give it something that was as nourishing as possible, or at least as wholesome as possible. And so all I was feeding my body was things like vegetable broth, and eating some of the cooked vegetables from the broth, and some miso. And that's really about it. I think sometimes as I got better, I was craving some sweets, but I knew not to eat, again, as I mentioned, processed food. So I would have like a piece of banana with a bit of nut butter on it, and that was my treat. And and what happened is that after being sick for a month and getting better, I hadn't eaten any processed food whatsoever. And I made a decision right in that moment. I remember going to the grocery store, and I just looked around and I thought, just don't touch any of that stuff again. I realized how much easier it is to not touch it than to say, oh, I'm going to have a little bit, like a little piece of bread, and a croissant, or a little treat, or and as soon as you touch that stuff, or at least I can speak for myself, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. If you have food addiction in any way and you've been using food for comfort, as I'm sure many people in this world do, um, you'll find that anything that's processed is very addictive, and that includes bread, because it's a carb that's, yeah, very addictive. It makes you want to eat more of it. So I knew to not touch anything of that kind that would stimulate my addiction, and to only resort to foods that would be nourishing to my body. And so I didn't touch again any, even including flour. Even I include grains in there. Grains are very addictive. Uh, um, Even if you were to stop all the processed food and you were going to eat grain, you'll want to make up for those addictive foods with grains, because it'll give you that kind of carb experience, and that soothing effect that you get from addictive food. Um, so I also decide to not touch grains. The only grains that I touch, and slowly I might be weaning off of that, is little grains that are allowed on the body ecology diet. If you're not familiar with it, maybe I can share some of that in another video, or you can search online. It's a it's a good diet if you want to cure yeast infection, though I'm moving into something even more, I'd say, wholesome than that. But on that diet, what's allowed is grains like buckwheat, amaranth, millet, and quinoa. And those are considered, except for the buckwheat, very alkalizing grains, unless, of course, you abuse and overdo on them, then it's not going to be alkalizing to your body. But so what I've been doing, especially with buckwheat, but I started to do it with other grains, is that I soak and then I sprout them until they grow little sprouts on them, and then I put them in my dehydrator. And then I make some waffles just with the grains in the water. I put the grains in my little blender, like a magic bullet, and I turn it into that into a flour basically, but that's made of sprouted grains, only those grains, and add a bit of water and put it in my waffle maker and make a little waffle. That's it, just with water. And I've not found it addictive for some reason. You know, sometimes I do eat a few. My addictive personality is still there, but I don't think I'll focus so much on that today. Today I want to share with you all the wonderful things that I've been learning that have really propelled me forward. And yeah, I guess the big first point I want to make is if you get sick and you can't eat anything, and then once you get better, take advantage of it and just don't touch that stuff again, because not touching it is a whole lot easier than just saying, I'm just going to have one little piece, because the one little thing, the one little treat will just lead to the next, and wanting more and more until, you know, you'll have it as part of, you'll have those foods as part of your diet. Um, so that was a wonderful decision to move into a direction that was going to support my body into healing. Um, the other thing that I want to share with you that's been really helpful is, of course, in the process of letting go of that, is to ensure that you really nourish your body. And I knew that I wanted to move in the direction of eating a diet that is a diet promoted by Hippocrates, someone by the name of Brian Clement. And it's a raw food diet, but it basically focuses on eating a lot of greens that are very rich in protein, and that includes sprouting your own pea sprout, sunflower, growing wheatgrass, and eating blue-green algae and sea vegetables. That's the main part of the diet. And so I have found that I've started to grow my sprout. It's a, you know, it's a step-by-step process, but I have found that really ensuring that I feed my body a lot of greens in the form of salads, including sprouts, and in the form of green smoothies and juices, has been also very helpful to kind of, I guess, to wean me off of that kind of food addiction that I've been struggling with most of my life. So that's been really nourishing to my body and calming. The other thing that I want also that I meant to add is, you know, when I say don't touch the processed food again, I would also recommend just don't touch. Basically, for me, it's left me with vegetables and some seeds, even nuts at this point, even though some are considered very healthy, such as walnuts. They're rich in omega-3. I've made a decision to not touch them at this point, and to ensure that I get my essential fatty acids through seeds that I don't find as addictive as eating nuts. So just, I guess, my tip to you from what I've learned so far is make sure you to really nourish your body, giving it food that it needs to be healthy, and try to stay away from anything that you know is just going to kind of stimulate that addictive behavior in you, and there might come a time where you're able to eat it without going in that space and hurting yourself. The other thing that I found to be really helpful is to, and extremely powerful, is to take it in baby steps and to not expect to be perfect overnight, because, you know, I've ended up with a lot of pretty concerning health issues, and that hasn't happened overnight. It's happened over years of, you know, not taking good care of my body and of my spirit in a way, you know, not really taking good care of my life. So, you know, the same goes the other way around. It's a real learning curve, and so to really be gentle with yourself and to take it in baby steps. The other thing that I found to be extremely helpful is to have a vision. Really take the time, and it can take time. In my case, you know, I find it's something that I've refined over years. and not to worry about it. There's, to if you're not clear about that, to just really get started. Make collages, write, daydream, whatever it takes, but really take time to get clear about your life's vision. What is it that you truly aspire to achieve? What is it that you truly aspire to become? A good tip is to imagine yourself on your deathbed and think of what would bring a smile to your face, what would make you feel good about the person that you would have become. And that's really helpful in creating a vision for yourself. And I find that having that vision and maybe putting words on pieces of papers on your walls or collage or whatever it takes, but surrounding yourself with reminders of that vision that's really dear and precious to you is really helpful to coming on track, back on track to doing good things that propel you forward and that are not self-destructive. Another thing that I'd like to share is, maybe I'll come back to this one, I'll make a note of it, is, a really important one is to learn to nurture yourselves in ways that are healthy. I think everyone in one way or another has had some addictive behaviors that have been self-sabotaging to themselves, where they self-sabotage themselves basically. And for me, it's been using food for comfort anytime I felt some kind of stress or, emotional upset or whatever that might be. And it's to really learn to find things that are nourishing but in a healthy way. Find things that make you feel good deep within. Really question what it is for you. Maybe it's going for a walk out in nature, whatever it is that makes you feel good. And it may not actually, it might be an adjustment. It may not be so exciting at first, like there's certain things that I know are nurturing for me now that I'm discovering that I never wanted to do before, that I had real resistance. So be open to the answers that you do get, because we do have wisdom and we do know a lot. And really be open to those things and just try it in little steps, and you might find out that you actually love it a lot more than you thought you did. And it can be little things like maybe go sit down and be quiet and have a cup of tea, and maybe deep down that's very soothing and nurturing. Or maybe have a warm bath, or maybe just go lay down and put your hands on your belly and just hold yourself in a kind and nurturing way. Just make a list of what you know is truly nurturing, and be open to try it in little ways, and just let yourself feel what it's like, and think you'll grow to love it over time just by taking little steps. The other one I want to share is a really, really crucial one that has been really crucial on my journey to health, and that is, I've been the kind of person, just due to personal experiences in my past, that have really made me dissociate from my body as a little girl, and is that I've always had resistance to be in the practical world and to really be in my body. And I just was a big dreamer and a big visionary, and in a way I have probably developed tremendous skills with that I'm sure could serve me as I learned to be in my body. But that in and of itself has no value. It's to be able to bring both worlds together, the ability to have visions and dreams, and the ability to have your feet on the ground. Then you can really bring both worlds together, and I believe make things happen. So for me, I've had a strong knowing to, you'll have to excuse me for a moment, I have to blow my nose, I'll be back. Okay, so here I am. So the other thing I wanted to share is, as I was sharing, if you've been that kind of person that's kind of lived in dreamland, um, and have struggled being in your body and the practical things, I realized that a really essential part of the journey to healing your body in a way that's real sustainable and real wholesome and healthy. To really be healthy is to be able to be in your body. And so, you know, find things that bring you into your body, make a list of what those things are, and take, again, just little steps. It's the little steps that are powerful, because it's in the little that we can truly integrate and learn the value of it, because it's easier to be in little things than in things that are just too big, and if you've never really been in that. So, for example, I had a knowing that doing yoga would be really good, even though I had kind of tried it before and, you know, couldn't keep it up or didn't really like it. It was an effort. So I started with something really, 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 really basic and easy. I found videos online that I found inspiring. Find things that you relate to, that make you feel good, instead of, you know, what you think you should be doing. So I found some YouTube videos on yoga for beginners, some very easy, gentle ones to start with, and just to get a feel of what it's like. And just started with 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes, and now it's grown into 1 hour sessions, and sometimes I do it longer because I love it so much. I actually love it, and this is pretty unbelievable. I'm getting to discover how powerful it is to come into my body. It's like my visions on their own were just never going to happen because they weren't rooted in reality. And I find that our body has so much wisdom, and there's so many answers, and still to this day, that I look for in my mind, or I want to follow an impulse or a feeling towards my goal. And I have this little subtle knowing that tells me to instead follow the wisdom of my body, like come into my body. And I see that my body has so much wisdom and awareness, and kind of that's where my real power resides. So that's another, I guess, tip that I would have of what I've learned so far that I've found to be really helpful and beneficial. As I mentioned before, I kind of wrote that but mentioned it to you. The little steps are very, very powerful. So um, um, just focus on the little, take little steps. Don't try to make them too big. Well, it doesn't mean yoga's for everyone, but I have found that, you know, I think you'll find your own answers and what is right for you, and to really listen to that inner voice, that inner wisdom. But I have found yoga to be really helpful to really bring kind of all the levels of who I truly am together, kind of my emotional being, my mental being, just my physical, all of it together, bonding them together, as opposed to having them kind of all apart, disconnected from one another, and good for the body as well. So I just find yoga to be really beneficial. Another thing that I found to be really, really helpful is if you've, again, been the kind of person that really have lived in your emotions and in your thoughts, and this is how I've been, then I get easily carried away in things that I find exciting. And now, because I'm doing things more that bring me into my body, I start to have that awareness of, like, my wheels are spinning, and it's like I'm following this excitement, thinking, oh, that's going to be great. That's going to lead me in the right direction. That's a wonderful thing to do. But sometimes it's either too quick, you're not right, but the timing's not right, whatever the reason is, or it might just simply be not right for you. Or maybe it's right, but you need to come from a different space. So I notice, as soon as I notice my wheel spinning, to stop. And if you made an engagement with a friend and realize afterwards you're just spinning your wheels, it's too much, you have too much on your plate, whatever it is, just express that to that person. You know, often it's not too late, and most people will actually really appreciate honesty, because then you give them a space to do the same too, which in a way everybody craves, to take good care of themselves and be honest. So you'll be an inspiration. Another thing is, if you're really keen on moving forward and changing your life, to sometimes I find it overwhelming and I just don't know where to go, what to do. I feel I'm not really moving forward and I get all confused. To really focus on what you're clear about, instead of all the things you're not clear about that you think you should know and that you should be clear about. There's always something you're clear about. So go back to your vision that's truly dear to you, that means the world to you, and then just focus on what you're clear about, no matter how small it is. The tiny leads to the next step and the next step, and maybe that's all you need to know at this point. So it's empowering to focus on what you're clear about, period. Um, and as I mentioned, just go back to your vision board over and over and over, and it'll help you get sharper and just move with more clarity. And I guess the last thing, and maybe another one after that, is to just, I find also in helping you get clear about your vision, is also learn to do things that make you feel good deep within. And you'll find that that feel good that I'm speaking about is not a feel good that you get from eating a cookie or a piece of cake or that kind of emotional excitement. I'm talking about a deep feel good that's nourishing deep down in your being, that you're really taking care of yourself in a wholesome way as your for your life as a whole. Like there's goodness all around it for you and everyone around you. That kind of feeling good that I'm speaking about. So really, to help you make decisions, just go to that space, learn to connect to that space of what really makes you feel good, that's in line with your vision, that's good. And I guess that's about all I want to share today. So I'm glad I did this video, and I hope that you benefit from the things that I've learned so far, and I look forward to sharing more with you. So till next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.